It would ruin me if my wife ever left me because I wasn't a leader. I knew that I was being internally called to do something bigger and that I had kind of plateaued and I just wasn't living up to my own standards. Playing it safe, like my entire life, I think I've been, let's play it safe, let's relax, let's chill out, let's not push through the pain, let's avoid pain.
I've watched guys go through this and they are not the same man when they walked out of there. I've seen some of them fight back for the first time in their life.
On the outside, you would see my family as the all-American family, well put together, the wife, the cars, the home. But behind the doors, my family was falling apart.
That my wife always tells me, so I don't think you understand me. And that's like a hell of a thing to feel. Because you can agree and you could hear her and you could feel her. You could feel the hurt you cause her. And that hurt is a direct result of your lack of leadership. And there's no other way to say it. And there's nobody's fault but yours. And the price of not going is divorce. But then my daughters marry a husband that's like me, that's broken.
Where I was gonna end in life and what my daughter would think about me and what I would leave for them.
I would kill a man if they did what I do to my wife. And that's the truth.
Like, most of us need that nudge to get past. And if you're watching this, this is the nudge. Like, there might not be another one. Like, this is it.
Don't let it end like that. Don't let it end like that, you know. Keep going.
At the end of this whole thing, we get one life.
So much is on the line. And if you don't do it here, where are you gonna do it? Like, where, like, are you okay just living this life?
I wish I had my time back. I wish I had my time back.
It was 2013 and I was sitting on the sofa with my newborn baby. Life was good, marriage was good, business was good. And so I sat there and I wondered, is this all there is? You're either growing or you're dying. I've found the tragic truth is that most men die having never realized their God-given potential. You see, I was on that same exact well-worn path for many years. Men like you and me, we can play at 60 or 70%, which is better than many people's 100%. And so we stopped there. I created a great business, marriage was good, everything was good. However, I felt a lack of fulfillment and passion in my life. Just a few years earlier, I was at the lowest point in my life. I remember walking into the attorney's office and filing for bankruptcy, one of the hardest things I've ever done. And just a couple months after that, after I started spiraling down, I ended up cheating on the woman, my wife, that I cared about the most in the world. I had issues with porn and struggled for a good part. And so as I sat there on the couch with my son, I never wanted to go back to that place. Are you operating at your full God-given potential? I found it to be true with most men that they usually play in the 60 to 70%. And a big part of that has to do with associations. Their current peer group holds a certain level of standard and they tend to operate at that or just above it. But what they don't realize
is the people they're hanging out with are not operating at their full potential. And so they're therefore stuck. They remain bound, not being able to fully go all out and all in. And so I eventually had to find a new peer group, new associations. And I went on a hunt to find, hey, what are the highest level associations I can possibly find? Because I believed that if I was around them, I would eventually become like them. And so as long as I was surrounding myself with people that had a certain standard or level of that they were operating at, as soon as I realized that those were not the people that I wanted to be like, then kind of the horizons opened up. And so that was really what propelled me in a big way to the next level, is when I started to hang around, wealthy, Christian, kingdom-minded people that were operating at a much higher level than anybody I had ever been around.
A lot of you guys live good lives, right? Good lives. Yeah, life's good, marriage is pretty good, business is pretty good, right? You've created a good life. But on the other side of this line is a literal great life, an insane life of abundance, of happiness, of fulfillment, of purpose, of impact. On the other side of this is the man that you want to be. Guess what's in the middle right there, though? Anybody know? Pain, struggle, discomfort is on the other side of that line. You have to be willing to do the things that you don't want to do. The marketing, the date nights, the spending the extra time staying up late at night. You have to be willing to do that stuff to get through the other side, and that is painful and it's uncomfortable.
So I grew up in a place called Hemet, California, and it was an interesting town. There wasn't a lot of success and wealth in that town at all. And I grew up with my mom, primarily. My parents had split. We grew up in a 700 square foot mobile home. There was a spa in our mobile home park, and I used to late at night go jump in there and go sit in the spa and just dream of what my life could look like. But I had some inner conflict, because my mom's belief was that money was the root of all evil, right? She was a Christian woman, and she had a really close relationship with God, but she was missing some key fundamental mindsets, I would say, and personal development tools. And so, she struggled. She would get drunk and have some issues with drugs, but then she'd be preaching to other people about Jesus and how much Jesus loved them. And so I saw this disconnect. And I also saw her disconnect around money and wealth. So anytime she would get money, she would find a way to get rid of it as fast as she could, subconsciously. Right? She'd spend it all. And I think that's kind of where I started to realize, like, I have some fire inside me that I wanted to do better. I wanted to create a life of significance and really make an impact. But I didn't know how to get there. And so throughout my journey in Hemet, right, I tried to start different businesses and just tried to figure out what that path looked like. My primary motivator was money. It was always, hey, I want to create a life of significance, of cash, of Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and I want to just be this really ultra wealthy guy. And so every business I started with had that premise. And I believe that was faulty. And it was in direct opposition to my faith many times. And so I really wanted to create wealth in my life, but I didn't know if God really wanted me to create wealth and if God wanted me to be wealthy. Yeah, I remember my lifestyle of what good looked like, right? So good, I had a nice house, good marriage, kind of good everything, I felt like. And I didn't even realize that I was stuck lying to myself that I really didn't want more. I thought everything I had was completely fine, and that the other things of life, the abundances of life, it would be greedy of me to want nicer things, or to be around nicer communities, or to have my kids go to nicer schools. And it was really kind of a twisted mindset that was kind of based on fear that I wouldn't be able to get to that next level. And so that I had to sit with that pain and actually had that realization that, man, I don't know if I can get to that next level, so I'm willing to settle for good in my life. And man, I'm so glad I didn't settle, because I wouldn't be able to live out here by the beach and just have the lifestyle that I have, but also make the impact on men's lives if I would have settled for just good enough in my life. I wanted to find out, like, what do I need to do to continue to level up and grow? Because I never wanted to be in a place of decay where life kind of got comfortable, because what I found is that when I was comfortable for too long, I started to sabotage things. So I remember in business, I had gotten my business to a place where I was working like three-ish days a week, and so I went on a vacation with my wife. And I started to just push the stuff that I had to do back to my employees. I just wasn't doing it. It was on cruise control. And when I was on vacation, I was talking to my wife. I said, hey, our office manager, I'm not really sure that I fully trust her. Do you feel the same way? And she said yes. And so when we got back, we let her go, and we found out that she had been embezzling a significant amount of money from our company. And we were devastated. We didn't know how that had happened, but in reality, I did know how it happened. I took my hands off the wheel, and it was now on cruise control. And so I never wanted to do that again with my business, and also with my marriage. When my marriage is on cruise control, I stop investing, and I've known so many people that are now divorced because their marriage was on cruise control, because they got comfortable in their marriage and they weren't investing with their wife and their queen. And so their queen went and found another way to get their needs met. And I never wanted to be in that situation, right, where my wife would find her needs met from some other man. And so I knew as I was sitting on that couch that I had to do something different, and I wanted to continue to grow for the rest of my life. I never wanted to get into a place of long-term comfort. And so I went on a journey of personal development for 5-6 years, just figuring out, hey, what is the way that a man can go all out and can continue that path of growth without getting it stuck in a place of comfort for too long. I used to think that once I got my business under control, everything else would come after that. So what I would do is I would dedicate just tremendous amount of time, right? 10, 12, 14 hours into my business, because I truly believe that, hey, if I can just get my business producing wealth and get it running smooth, I can go work on my family and all the other pillars and all the other things once that's done. And so I tried that, and I would invest regularly into the business, and something interesting happened. It negatively affected my relationship with my wife, right? I would dedicate time, and then her needs wouldn't be met, right? She would be struggling. I'd come home, and I remember coming home, and we would just have conversation after conversation where she'd say, hey, I'm not getting enough of your time. And I'm like, babe, I'm trying to spend time working to provide for our family. Like, I have to provide for our family. Once this thing is running and operating smoothly, then I'll have more time to spend with you. It didn't click. It didn't click for her. I wasn't able to convince her. And so I continued doing this. I continued investing in the business and spending a ton of time. And she would still, it was negatively affecting our marriage. Just getting it to a place where it wasn't in a good place. And I could tell by her eyes and her face that she wasn't happy. And she was even more upset that I wasn't willing to listen to her, to slow down. And so at that point I said, okay, like something has to change, or else, if I stay on this path, like, again, she's gonna find someone else that will spend more time with her. And I wasn't willing to give her up. I knew she was the one that God had called me to be with. And so I had to find a different way. And so what I started doing was I started pulling away from the business a little bit more, and I started spending more and more time intentionally. I intentionally dedicated date nights. So we had date nights, and I set it up where we did date nights every single week. And I would do little things for her on a daily basis, right? Either a little love note, or I would give her flowers, just do little things, help out with the house. And what I noticed is her tank started to fill up, right? And so her cup started to fill up. And what was interesting is when I started treating her better and really loving on her like the queen that she was and like the child of God that she is, she gave me more space and more time to work on the business. So it was actually the reverse effect, right? I thought that if I worked on the business and went all out on the business, she would understand and she would love me more for supporting the family. But in reality, what she wanted me to love on her and to care for her, and she wanted to feel special and wanted. And when she felt special and wanted and adored for, she gave me more space and allowed the space for me to go all out in business. And so I figured out that I was doing it backwards. I needed to invest more time in my marriage. I needed to invest more time with my kids. I needed to invest in my faith and my relationship with God. And as I started to do that, I actually showed up and was more intentional in my business. I showed up with more power, more energy, more confidence, knowing that I was taking care of everything on the home front. It allowed me to really produce at the highest level in business. I really kept faith and God kind of separate. And I always had God, and I always believed in God, and I prayed regularly, and I was connected to Him, but I kept it out of my life. And it really affected, I would say it affected my business and my entire life when I did that. Many people didn't know I was Christian, right? I'd go walking around talking to people and have my friends and even my employees, and they didn't know I was a Christ follower. And I remember an employee having a conversation with me one time, and I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh, you're a Christian?" I'm like, "Dude, like my own team doesn't even know I believe in Jesus." And so I started to shift in my business, and I started to really focus on making the business more about God. And I wanted to build a business that glorified God. That became my new purpose. So my purpose changed from just making a ton of money and living a life of liberty and freedom to saying, hey, I want to build a business that glorifies God and that represents Him well, because I knew I did such a crappy job representing Him early on in my life. So I was going to change that. And so I said, hey, I'm going to have our business, our team, our employees, our morale, our results glorify God. And so I started working with our team. And I focused on just really caring about my employees and treating them right. And so I built this incredible culture where people, I would say it was a culture that people believe like, wow, like this is different. And so that became one of the things I would hear regularly at my company is, dude, this company's different. Something is different about the way you treat your employees. Something's different about our culture. And so I started to change the company from the inside out with a focus on glorifying God. And I believe that is probably one of the biggest things that was really pushed our business forward and started to produce some serious profit and results, was when I had the belief that I was building the business with God and to glorify God. And it was no longer just about me. And so I had more purpose, right? So our marketing, the way we handled our customer service, I remember I didn't care too much about our customer service scores as long as we just did a good job, what I thought. But I said, you know what? No, I want to treat our customers like they just dealt with the most incredible company, because that would glorify God. And then I started treating my employees that way too. So in situations where I could either pay them less, I would pay them more, or situations where there would be an issue that I maybe didn't want to resolve, I would resolve the issue in a way that would glorify God. And so I started our entire team and our culture completely changed, and that is critical. So now our company, right, we made the Inc. 5000, a couple years in a row, and we are growing at such a rapid pace. And the insane thing is I go to the office only 2 days a week. And our team runs the entire company. So I have a general manager, and the culture and my mindset around building something so incredible and creating exceptional experiences in a way that would glorify God, that's infiltrated all of our management, our executive team, our middle managers, all of our employees. And so they show up every day trying to create an exceptional experience. And I believe that's why God is blessing the business at such a high level right now. I mean, our profitability is industry, it's at the top of the industry. And that's with me having limited involvement with our team and our team actually running it. So when you put God first, it makes a difference.
Guess what today is? It's Actuals Day. What does that mean? It means we have a team of people that are running the company that are responsible for creating the results and reporting those numbers. And so what happens is once a month, we actually have the actual numbers for our profit and loss that come in, which we share with the entire team, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna hop into the meeting right now. We got our team right here. So how you guys doing? Awesome. So how did January's numbers come in? Awesome. Pretty good, right? And who's am I responsible for all those numbers, or who's responsible for all those numbers? Yeah, you guys created those, right? Yes. For real. So which is pretty cool. So we have our board right here, and this is the once a month actuals meeting. I'll let you guys get back to it.
I want to be the best man I can for my wife and my kids, but how do I get a business to thrive when I'm not investing time in it? And that's where I started to really dive deep into systems and like processes and really building an amazing culture where I could build a business that could run on its own, so I could focus on my family, I could focus on God, I could focus on fitness, the things that really matter to me the most. And I think that it was born, my desire to have a business run on its own was born from that desire that I wasn't willing to sacrifice my family and the time with my wife just to make money, right? I will never sacrifice my family just to have extra income. And so, right, there's a path where people can have a business that thrives and that grows and that can do millions a year, and they can still have an incredible relationship where their marriage is on fire. And so that was kind of my path, right, to get to kind of where I was in a nutshell. Are you listening to all of it? Kind. Of course you are. Huh?
I was kind in the club.
Yeah, so you distracted me.
You guys are doing great.
And I did that through personal development seminars. We went to a few different seminars, and the seminars were good, but they lacked a key component. The people that were going to the seminars, I wasn't like them, right? Some of them had families, some of them didn't. Some of them had businesses, some of them didn't. Some of them believed in God, some of the people didn't. And so I had never found an event or a seminar or a program that was all-inclusive, that had personal development, that had God as a foundation, people that were married, people that had kids, people that had businesses, and people that believed in health and nutrition. And so I had never found anything like that. And again, that was kind of after I had figured out this system through all these seminars and a way of living that helped men really rise up and help me progress in business and in life, I wanted to do that same thing and really duplicate that for other men. And so for the last 5 years, right, I've been putting this program together and really supporting men on that journey of reaching their full potential, taking them from 50 or 60% of operating at their capacity and going and help them to create a fire to get to that next level where their marriage is now on fire, their businesses, they're getting fulfillment from their businesses, and they're showing up with fitness and just health, and they're growing closer in their relationship with God.
Reflect and understand, okay, it's time to focus in on what my purpose is so I can fulfill, what God has for me in life.
He has fire for everything. For our kids, for me, and our marriage.
And what I'm supposed to do in my business and how I'm supposed to lead my family by example and really drive, my future forward to who I'm supposed to be before it gets too late.
Just this fire that Rise Up Kings put underneath him. I didn't know it could get better, and it is.
I had developed and said, hey, I need to create something, right? I've been working on this for 4 years, and this idea is in my head. It was time to launch a program that had a strong faith component, right, for Christian businessmen that wanted to be around other Christian businessmen, that wanted to focus on their faith, their family, their fitness, and finance. And so I launched Rise Up Kings, and I launched it with a 3-day experience. There's a lot of courses out there where someone's teaching and talking at you for a day, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, right? You can think of Tony Robbins, you can think of any of these other kind of gurus or teachers, and it's teaching. What I have found to be the most profound and impactful way to grow and change your mindsets and really transform is through experiences, right? So the Rise Up Kings 3-day event is all about experiential learning. It's all about how do we take you through a process, an experience that transforms the way that you think about different things, that literally changes you from the inside out so that you can produce more results. So we do this through some mental exercises. We push you physically. I found that when a man is pushed physically, a different side of him comes out. And part of that is this primal side that I believe is inside every man that we rarely get to tap into. And so at this experience, men are able to tap into this primal side, this masculine side of themselves that, right, maybe at the office they're not able to experience, or maybe at home they're not able to experience. And so we're able to pull that out of a man. We're able to put him through some pretty powerful physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual experiences that take them from day one, right, kind of, wondering why they're there and not really knowing what it's about. And then by day 3, they walk away a powerhouse, literally feeling and being more powerful as a man with some of the tools and strategies and habits that they need to continue on in life. Because there's a lot of programs that people go through where they'll go do a 3-day event, and then the day after, life comes at you, hardcore, right? You get punched in the face by a business issue, a marriage issue comes, you lose motivation. And so we've built a pretty incredible program where you have this 3-day event, and then there's an opportunity to continue on. And so you get to all the things that you learned in this 3-day experience, you're able to continue to use in a brotherhood. I would say a key component of the Rise Up Kings experience is the brotherhood. It is so rare to find a business owner that has faith as an important part of the conversation, and where fitness and family are also an important part of that conversation. So actually there's nothing like it. There's no other program that has intense experiences like we put together, that has Christian businessmen and that are aligned in so many different areas of their lives. There is nothing like it, and the results are pretty insane. And that's also why we are very picky with the people that we bring into the program, right? We want to make sure they're a cultural fit, and we want to make sure that they match our core customer, our core avatar. Because the men that go through this program, they have a transformational experience. And I would say many men have said they've never done anything like this in their entire lives. Actually, almost every man says that. And so we're very picky and particular. To be a part of the program, you do have to have a deep why. Why are you willing to go through this and come out the other side, right? Because there's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some struggles in this experience. So if your why is not strong enough, you won't be willing to go through it. And that's why we talked about, right, good to great. There's a lot of good men watching this that aren't willing to put in the work. And if they're not willing to put in the work to be great, those aren't the type of men that, those aren't the ideal type of men that will get the most from this program. But if a good guy says, hey, I'm ready to go to the next level. Like, I want to be an even better man for my family. I want to be a better leader for my business. Even though I'm a good leader, I want to be a better leader, and I'm committed, and my why is strong. Like it's a must. It's no longer some cool thing that they want to do. It is a must that I show up as the man that I was called to be, right? God has called me, I believe, to do more in my life and to make a bigger impact, and I'm committed to getting to the next level. That guy is the guy that will produce tremendous results through the Rise Up Kings program. So if you've watched this video this far, I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe that you're watching this video for a reason. I believe that God has called you to do more, to be more for your wife, to be a better father for your kids, to show up as a better leader in your business. And if you feel that feeling in your stomach and you are ready, there's a lot of men that apply to Rise Up Kings that aren't men of action. But if you are a man of action and you are committed to getting to the next level, to seeing what God has for you, to becoming the best version of yourself, and to make the impact that you believe God has called you to make, apply below.
Well, it's whilst I've been going through things in my life, I've looked and reached out to Christian men, and because of that, I met you. I met the Bible study group, and because of those real, honest, honourable, supportive men, it's led me on a path to come and join you on this journey as well. And I think that's part of what being a Christian man's about. It's about lifting someone when they're down, and when it's my opportunity to lift people, I'm going to be there. I'd like to think I'm really intentional anyway, but now I've really kind of set myself some purpose because of this weekend. The fact that I've started journaling, the fact that I'm going to change my morning routine, the fact that I've really kind of set intentional, purposeful, meaningful tasks for me. I have a really clear vision what my next 12 months looks like, but now I have absolute clarity. It's actually quite inspiring, and I'm smiling as well, and I've not smiled for quite a while.
When I saw something that was targeting Christian business owners, specifically men, that resonated. And so I didn't hesitate. On the first call, I paid, I put it away, and I said, okay, you're gonna do it.
I came here super skeptical and just had my mind blown and realized what I'm actually capable of over the past 3 days of doing this.
I came here because on the outside, you would see my family as the all-American family, well put together, the 3 sons, the wife, the cars, the home. But behind the doors, my family was falling apart. My marriage was falling apart. And I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know where to go. This is something that I don't know if I go to church. Do I speak to a pastor? Is there people around me that would understand what I'm going through? And when it came down to it, I realized that I needed to be around men that believed in God, men that had faith, men that understood that family's priority as well. And I was in a search and a journey to do so because my marriage was falling apart. My relationship with God was falling apart, but yet on the outside it looked like we were the perfect family, and we were not.
I've learned a lot with the mastermind, and I would do it over again and again and again and again. My business is actually succeeding. I'm getting ready to hire on somebody I've never even thought I'd spend the money on before. I was too afraid to, but scaling is what the mastermind is helping. Not only scaling your business, but everything else as well. So.
It was really great to be around people who are like-minded because this balance doesn't exist in a lot of mentorships, and I have not even heard of one, having attended multiple, many I would say, to have this commonality of faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, to have a commonality as fathers and husbands, to have a commonality of a drive for their business, a passion to reignite, while having the expertise that is required to add value to business owners looking to succeed. I landed exactly where I was supposed to.
I never had anybody to talk to on this level. It's just incredible to have somebody to talk to that's like, yeah, man, I'm there. Or, yeah, you know what, try this. And that alone is just, now although I have all the brothers in the congregation, not any of them are, running businesses the way we are.
Oh, like your wife was here, and she said that she needed a leader. She wanted a leader. She left her other, her first husband because she wasn't getting that. And it would ruin me if my wife ever left me because I wasn't a leader. And I just realized how important that is to lead a household and to be a king. And now I have a son on the way who's going to need a king to look up to, because when I die, it's going to be his to carry on.
Like, it really helped me break through a wall that I had in front of me. I never realized that I had it in there until I came to this event. A lot of anger, resentment, and a lot more emotions. I discovered that I was denying myself, saying that no, that I didn't have it. And I find out that they were there, and they've been pushing me back from the person that I can be, from the husband that I can be, the father that I can be, and the business owner that I can be. I can be a lot better than I was. The man that came in, man, that's gone, way gone.
From all the areas that I care about in my life were addressed. And it's very rare that when you go to any personal development or seminar training that you're going to get every facet of your life. It's not just, hey, write down your takeaways and go home and work on them. It was deliberate. How can you make changes? Okay, what are you going to do? And moving forward, having the accountability after the fact is definitely going to make the experience that was already fantastic being implemented daily in my life to make the changes that I need.
I have a lot of men in my life, and I'm really alone because I lived life thinking that I wasn't doing it enough or well enough, and that stopped me from actually just getting into the arena. It was easier to be out of the arena alone and afraid than in the arena just giving it. For the next 12 months, and I'm a little nervous. Well, no, I'm nervous, but I'm excited because I know I can handle it, and I know I will be surrounded by men who are doing it. They're going through the struggle, they're in the arena doing it, and that gives me a whole lot of power, and I'm excited for that.
Most of the seminars I attend before, and I spent a lot of money on personal development. This program actually crafted so well that helped to discover a lot of missing links and pieces and put the puzzles together and kind of have complete kind of a combo package. And we all like combo packages, like it's a better value, and they put a really good value, right? Right.
Mm-hmm. What I've gathered out of this is clarity and purpose that has given me a direction and a way to go, brought me back to who I am inside and who I really am, not these burdens that made me who I was. And it gave me an outlet to let them go and get rid of them. I was able to leave some baggage behind. I was able to really learn what my purpose in life was. And I realized that most of my life I've actually been living other people's purposes. So it was time for me to kind of reflect and understand, okay, it's time to focus in on what my purpose is so I can fulfill, what God has for me in life and what I'm supposed to do in my business and how I'm supposed to lead my family by example and really drive, my future forward to who I'm supposed to be before it gets too late.
And so he's like, okay, this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna just come back feeling like fire for business. Yet he came back and he has fire for, he has fire for everything. For our kids. For me and our marriage. For his health and fitness goals, for everything. And it's just been, I hate the word or saying life-changing, but it has been. So just this fire that Rise Up Kings put underneath him it's like everything that you thought was in sync, and it's great, but you don't realize how out of sync it is until it truly is in sync. And so I feel like now, seeing where we are, we're really in a good spot. We're in the best spot that we've been in a long time. Even though I thought a few months ago we were in a great spot. I didn't know it could get better, and it is.
And so I leave here rededicated. I leave here with friends. I leave here with goals. I leave here with purpose and a plan. And I leave here closer to God.
Everything that this weekend prepared gave me a sense of clarity. And, I sit here and I think, would I have arrived at that point? And I think eventually I would have done, but would it have been a month or 6 months or 12 months? And, would I give up 2.5 days again to reach a decision as quickly as this? And the answer is yes.
I'm committed to my personal growth at like the highest level. I was at a Tony Robbins seminar, and you know, they offered a program. They offered a mastermind where you could work directly and spend time with Tony Robbins, and it's a pay-to-play game in that space. And so it was 75 grand to be able to directly you know, spend time with Tony and get to know him, be trained by him. And so I ended up coming up with 75 grand at that event. But they had another offer, right, to work directly with some other key players. And it was another 75 grand. So I ended up spending $150,000 to go all in on my next level of growth. It was funny, I remember calling my wife, and I let her know. I said, hey babe, so I'm gonna do this thing, it's 75 grand. She's like, what? And I said, okay, so that's part of it. So I get an extra discount, right, if I do this other thing, which happens to be another 75 grand. She started crying. She started crying on the phone, and she's like, what are you doing? But she knew, right, that I was committed and committed to being the best version of myself. And so I spent time with Tony. I spent time with guys like Jay Abraham, Keith Cunningham, just a ton of the highest level people that I could possibly find. I ended up spending over 300 grand in the course of like a 5-year period on personal development, on courses, on mentors, on some of the best business coaches and consultants. And I believe that was pivotal, right? Most people aren't willing to invest that kind of money, but I was willing to put that money into myself, right? I'd rather spend 300 grand on myself than on a house or a cool car, because I know that directly is going to show up on the results I can create, right? Millions of dollars later, I now have a life that I believe it played off of, or that was critical to produce the life that I currently have. And so I'm invested, and I've utilized the tools and everything that I've learned personally, and now I teach that. I teach a lot of the things that I've been able to tweak and adjust, so guys can come into our program, right, that don't want to spend 300 grand, and they can get that same or even a higher level of mentorship, of accountability, of growth over the programs at Rise Up Kings without coming up with that kind of money. So this event is about pushing men physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And on the physical side, right, if you're watching this video, I've worked with people that are professional athletes, and I've worked with people that haven't worked out in years. And so my outcome, right, at this event is we're gonna push you wherever you're at. Our goal is not to have people that specifically are already in their top physical shape. Our goal is to push people with where they're at. So wherever you're at, whether you're an athlete or whether you haven't worked out in years, your next level is awaiting you. All of us are most of the time not willing to go through that pain to get to the other side. So it's my outcome that after this event and through this event, you guys are comfortable and ready and committed to live on fire for the rest of your lives. This is a movement. This is not a 3-day experience. This is a new way of living. Rise Up Kings is a proven method. It's a new way of living that will get you to where you want to go. It's a new standard for men. It is a new standard for Christian business owners that have a new standard where they're not willing to drop their standard. They're not willing to be an average man for their wife. They're always investing. They're always working on their body. They're always connected to God and growing. And they're investing regularly and paying attention to the details in their business, and they're on fire. It's a new standard. Daniel, man, he was interested in the program, decided to wait a few months. Well, I mean, we could tell, but his wife decided to divorce him. So we just had a guy this last January that was about to sign up for the program. I actually know him. He does business with us. And he said, hey, it's not the right timing right now. I'm going to wait a couple months before I jump into the program. And so I talked to him a couple months later, and I was talking with him on the phone, and he said, I asked him, hey, how's life? How's everything going? And he said, hey, man, I'm in a pretty bad place right now. My wife just let me know a couple days ago that she's divorcing me. She's going to be leaving me. And that may not be you, right? But there's areas of your life I would have you consider that are just good. But staying in a place of good could be detrimental. And what I noticed with that man and with many other men is that's a pattern that people have. They push off things until it's the right timing to do something. but I would have you consider again that that doesn't serve you and that could actually be detrimental.
So as Skylar's done personal development, as we've both done personal development, he's stepped into his greatness and stepped into who God has created him to be. It's radically transformed our marriage. I remember he came back from one event and we sat in our office at the time and he said, babe, you know, where would you rate our sex life? And I was like, oh, it's like an 8, right? It's pretty good. And he thought it was an 8 also. And he's like, well, what would it take to be a level 10? What if we operated our life at a level 10? And in our sex life at a level 10? It was the most uncomfortable conversation like ever. Because I instantly went to like, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. Yet it was from this event that he gained this new boldness to really create our life by design, to really help us be the best that we could possibly be and not settle for just being good anymore. And that has rang true in so many areas of our life. But that one specifically, I mean, our life will never be the same. We talk about that all the time. But it was through him investing in himself, through him getting uncomfortable, through him going to different things and stepping up and taking himself on in a whole new way. So if you're on the fence with this, I would challenge you to consider that there's so much more on the line than what you know. There's a lot more that could be happening in your marriage. There's a lot more of you. Like, I feel like we all feel it inside of us. Like, you just know that you're capable of more. You know that more is possible, but you don't know how to get there. It's like and it feels good. Like, I just came through a very hard season of struggling, but it was so hard to break past that without someone else outside of myself coming in and giving me that nudge. Like, most of us need that nudge to get past. And if you're watching this is the nudge. Like, there might not be another one. Like, this is it. And I've watched guys go through this, and some of them I've known extremely personally, and they are not the same man when they walked out of there. I've seen some of them fight back for the first time in their life. Because so much is on the line. And if you don't do it here, where are you gonna do it? Like, are you okay just living this life? Like, if it is good, and if it's not good, then there shouldn't be any question. Like, you should be moving forward. But if it's good, there's so much more that's possible. So much more depth that could be in your marriage, so much more intimacy and connection and passion, so much more joy that can come out of being with your kids. And then as a businessman, so much more possibility that you can provide to the people that are following you, because there are people following you. So what would it look like if you showed up differently, right? If you started to step into that, how would you be impacting everybody around you? Because you're impacting them whether you think you are or not. They're watching you. Everyone's watching. So when would be a better time to begin and step into that?
And so when I get to a place of comfort, which I see in so many men, is when we get to a place of comfort or good, we are unwilling to push and to get uncomfortable, which prevents us from truly realizing great. And one of the worst things that a man could end his life with is knowing that he played at an average or a good level, never truly pouring his heart out into something that he really believed in, never truly giving 100% of himself, always holding something back. And that is the way that I do not want to end my life. And if I can do anything about it, I want to support men to help them push and pour and leave it all on the field. So getting a guy from a place of good to a place of great requires some pain and some discomfort, and sometimes it hurts, but the rewards are profound. Living on purpose and having a level 10 marriage, having a business that operates on its own. I mean, what could be better than that? So imagine what your life would look like. You wake up, your kids walk up to you, give you a big hug, your wife walks up to you, you guys just had a passionate night the night before, and you leave the house feeling fulfilled, You show up to the office, you're living on purpose. You're excited to come to work, things are going smooth. You take off early at 3 p.m. Your business has created more profit than you ever had imagined. And then you go focus on some of the other things that you're most passionate about. You're now living on purpose, showing up with the fire every single day, eating healthy, working out, just living on point and on purpose. So if you want that life that's on the other side of this experience, apply now.